Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our Hanafi Fiqh class. We are doing the kitab known as A'la Sunan of Mulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi rahimahullah, and we are still dealing with the chapters regarding Tayammum. So without delays, let's begin. Bismillahi walhamdulillahi wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Last week, our time cut out while we were still busy with completing the explanation of the hadith. So we were doing over here in this final narration, hadith number 307, which was Hadra Aisha radiallahu anha mentioning the same hadith that we had done previously, that when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam had, for example, been in a state of janaba from having been with one of his wives, and then, a person don't feel like getting up to make a ghusl, then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam would make tayammum at the very least. If you don't make ghusl, then you make wudu, and if not wudu, then the bare minimum is tayammum. Yeah, no, I shouldn't say bare minimum, but if you were to just sleep without doing anything, that too is fine. But on occasion, sometimes Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam would just make a tayammum. The tayammum don't take the place of the ghusl. The tayammum, it's not for that reason. Like I explained last week, it is just, and if we do it, we say because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it, that's why we do it. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam on occasion made ghusl, on occasion made wudu, and on occasion made tayammum. So therefore, whichever one of the three you do, for the sake of it being done by Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then fine, and you will get your reward for it. The best is obviously ghusl. Second best is wudu. Third best is tayammum. But if you slept out any of them, that too is permissible. So it falls all in that category. But anyway, so he had mentioned over here is that okay, that Imam Baqiya ibn al-Walid is a mudallis, like it's mentioned in Majmu' al-Zawaid. But Mulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi said, وَلَكِنَّهُ لَا يَضُرُّنَا, this doesn't harm us because فَإِنَّ التَّدْلِيسَ كَالْإِرْسَالِ, because tadlis is like irsal. Tadlis is, what is tadlis? Just to quickly touch upon this point. A mudallis is the one who does tadlis. A mudallas is the narration which is reported by a mudallis. So simply put, what is tadlis? Tadlis is when a person speaks in such a way that it makes the listener think you heard it from that particular person. So let me put it in a practical sense here now. So I am saying Mufti Taqi Uthmani said that if you do ABC, for example, now the listener hearing me assumes naturally, obviously, we're not talking in an age where we talk in the time of the Imam and so on. There was no recordings. There was no, this, live TV or recorded TV or voice notes. Nothing of the sort. So if you were narrating something, you would have had to have heard it. So thus, in the hadith terminology, you've got haddathana, you've got akhbarana, you've got amba'ana, various terms to tell the person listening to you how exactly did this narration come to you. Did he read it to you directly? Did you read it to him and he confirmed it? Was somebody else reading and you were present? Different terms. That's how particular and meticulous the muhaddithin were when it came to the preservation of hadith. So a tadlis, a mudallas narration is when the narrator makes it seem as if he heard it from someone without him saying in so many words. In today's world, all of our narrations would be deemed as being tadlis because we say Imam Bukhari said so, as if we said in Imam Bukhari's dars, but you get the picture. So a tadlis is when you speak, you narrate a narration, making the person think that you heard from him. For example, let's assume I was a youngster, as if I'm anything but a youngster these days. But any case, so let's assume I was a youngster for a moment. Now I will want to make it seem as if I was sitting in the gathering of the seniors. So I say, Maulana Masula Khan, Rahimahullah, Hazrat Ji as he's called, he said so. And Mufti Nizamuddin Shamzai said so. And Mufti Mahmud said so. Now the thing was that all of them lived in my time. I could have easily have heard from all of them. But the reality of the situation is between me and each of them, there is one narrator, so to speak. My teacher learned by Mufti Mahmud. The other one learned by Maulana Masiullah. The next one learned by Mufti Nizamuddin Shamzai. So there's one person in the chain between us. But because of the capability that I could have heard from them too, so I narrate it in that manner. Why? Because maybe I'm ashamed of my teacher, so I don't want to say he said so. So I say, Mufti Nizamuddin Shamsai said so. For example, this is tadlis. Now, that in a simple nutshell is what tadlis is all about. But simply put, Maulana Zafar Ahmad Tanvi says for us as Hanafis, tadlis is like irsal. When a person is a reliable, uprighteous person who does tadlis, he's not going out with the intention of deceiving. Like I say, if today I say Mufti Taki said so, and Mufti Muhammad ibn Adam al-Kawthari said so, and Sheikh Muhammad Awama said so, and Sheikh Mahmoud Effendi said so, it's not because I want to make it seem as if I was there, but it's just that that's the way that we speak today. So when a person was a reliable, uprighteous person, not a liar, and he did tadlis, such as Imam Baqiyya ibn al-Walid, then we say there's no harm in it. So he says, وأيضا, but besides this, فقد اعتضد بما رواه البيهقي عنها. He says, furthermore, this narration is supported by the narration of Imam al-Bayhaqi رحمه الله أنه صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا أجنب فأراد أن ينام توضأ أو تيمم إسناده حسن كما في فتح الباري. He says that Hadra Aisha radiallahu, or at least Imam Bayhaqi rahimahullah reports in a hadith that when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was in a state of janaba and intended to go and sleep, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam would make wudu or tayammum. So therefore, making tayammum, and here was a practical thing of making tayammum, so it's a supporting evidence. So it raises it to the level of being Hasan, reliable, accepted. So, it's one way or the other, it's not an issue. And the chain of narration is Hassan, like this one year of Imam Bayhaqi, like Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani mentions in Fath al-Bari. So that's just simply put to finish off what we had touched upon last week. In any case, let's move on now to the next chapter, which is Babu istihbab ta'khir tayammumi li rajil ma'a fil waqti. This is the opposite of a chapter which we just previously had done. This is a chapter that it is mustahab, it's good, it is recommended to delay making tayammum for the person who hopes to get water during the time. So previously, and I'll go back just so you can see, Jawazut tayammum, no, not this one. Yes. جواز التيمم في أول الوقت لراج الماء في آخره. That it is permissible to make tayammum in the early, when the salah time just come in and you make your salah, despite the fact that you have hope before the time of the salah ends, I'll have gotten water. So it is permissible for you to have done so. That's what we did in that chapter over there. Now, this chapter over here is that it is better. It is mustahab. So one is jawaz, one is istihbab. Istihbab is higher. Jawaz simply means it's fine. One way or the other, it's not a problem. It's not a sin, but there's no reward specifically, to put it that way. That's what jawaz means. Istihbab means if you don't do it, there's no sin, but if you do it, there's reward. So obviously, in the ranking, istihbab is much higher than jawaz. So it is mustahab to delay making tayammum if you have hope that you will get water before the time of the salah ends. That's basically what the chapter is about. So let's do the hadith. Hadith number 308. حدثنا شريك عن أبي إسحاق عن الحارث عن علي رضي الله عنه قال: إذا أجنب الرجل في السفر تلوم ما بينه وبين آخر الوقت فإن لم يجري الماء تيمم وصلى. أخرجه الدارقطني وسنده حسن. Imam Sharik narrates from Abu Ishaq, from Al-Harith, from Hadra Ali radiallahu anhu, who said that إذا أجنب الرجل, if a person is in a state of janaba and he's في السفر, he's on a journey, تلوم ما بينه وبين آخر الوقت, then you will see the time between where you are right now in a state of janaba and where you are on your journey, and okay, look, I've got 3 hours left before the time of the salah ends. So in other words, I've got 3 hours worth of traveling. Maybe it's the town I'm here, I'm about 1 hour away from the next town. So there's 3 hours left before Dhuhr time ends. I'm only 1 hour away from the town. So I'll be there with 2 hours to spare, in other words. So in this case, فَإِن لَمْ يَجِرِ الْمَاءَ تَيَمَّمَ وَصَلَّى. So it's now the better thing to do is you delay. You don't make your tayammum and your salah. You hold on. You take that 1 hour journey. And when you reach the town, if you come there now and you see, oh, okay, there's no water. There's some issue. The water was turned off for whatever reason. Then in that case, you make tayammum and you make your salah. But if you come there and there is water, then you make wudu and you make your salah. That's basically how the ruling works. So this is what is better. But if you do not do this and you make tayammum, then it is valid. So valid and better. That's the distinction between the two. Imam ad-Darqutni rahimahullah reports the narration, and the chain of narration is Hasan, meaning it is good, it is reliable, it's suitable to be used as evidence. The next one is hadith number 309. عن يحيى بن عبد الرحمن بن حاطب عن أبيه أن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه اعتمر في ركب فيهم عمرو بن العاص، وإن عمر عرس ببعض الطريق فاحتلم، وقد كاد أن يصبح فلم يجد مع الركب ماء فركب حتى جاء الماء. الحديث أخرجه مالك وابن وهب وعبد الرزاق وسعيد بن منصور والطحاوي ورواه. Okay, let's do it bit by bit. So Imam Yahya ibn Abd al-Rahman ibn Hatib narrates from his father that Hazrat Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu was i'tamara في ركب منهم في ركب فيهم عمرو بن العاص radiyallahu anhu. So Hazrat Umar radiyallahu anhu was i'tamara, he had gone for Umrah, and with a rakib means like a caravan. There were a whole lot of people traveling. Amongst them was Hazrat Amr ibn al-As radiyallahu anhu. So he says here that وإن عمر عرس, whether it is Hadr Umar or Hadr Amr radiyallahu anhuma, he had recently gotten married. Arus, Arrasa is from the word like Arus. He was recently married. ببعض الطريق, you know, he recently got married like on the road. So فاحتلم, and he had you know, his a wet dream as it's called. وقد كاد أن يصبح you know, وقد كاد أن يصبح فلم يجد مع الراكب ماء. You know, it was like close to the time of Fajr, and he couldn't find any water amongst anybody in the caravan he was traveling with. Like I said, not a caravan. Today's world, a caravan means you got one of those little caravan things being pulled or whatever. No, a caravan means a whole lot of animals, a whole lot of people with their wagons and stuff traveling together. So amongst none of them could he find water. Maybe a little skin bag of water to drink, but there was not water to make ghusl with. So فَرَكِبَ حَتَّى جَاءَ الْمَاء. So he traveled, he left with it, and he moved on, traveled to a further place, and he found water, he made his ghusl, and he made his salah, in simple terms. This narration is reported by Imam Malik, Imam Ibn Wahab, Imam Abd al-Razaq, Imam Sa'id ibn Mansur, Imam al-Tahawi. Now this is Imam Malik ibn Anas, Imam Ibn Wahab, Imam Abd al-Razaq al-Sunani, Imam Sa'id ibn Mansur, who's got his Sunan of Imam Sa'id ibn Mansur, Imam al-Tahawi, who's an Imam of Aqidah, of Fiqh, and of Hadith. And ورواه ابن وهب في مسنده, the Musnad of Imam Wahab, Ibn Wahab that we just had above. أيضا من طريق سليمان بن يسار قال حدثنا من كان مع عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه في سفر فأصابته جنابة وليس معه ماء فقال أترون لو رفعنا ندرك الماء قبل طلوع الشمس قالوا نعم. Okay, let's move on. He says the same Imam Ibn Wahab, who also reports this hadith that is mentioned above, in his Musnad, he reports it from Sulaiman ibn Yasar, who he narrates from someone who was with Hadrat Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu on a journey. فَأَصَابَتُهُ جَنَابَةٌ. So it was Hadrat Umar radiyallahu anhu who was in a state of janaba. وَلَيْسَ مَعَهُ مَاء, and he had no water with him. And then he asked the people that, what do you think? If we were to move from here right now, will we reach water before the sun rises? So, you know, it's like, it's, you can say it's the time when Fajr just comes in, you know, awwal waqt, you know, when the true dawn takes place. So you've got about an hour and 20 minutes here in South Africa, or at least 1.5 hours before sunrise. So from that time to that time, there's sufficient space to move. So it was like, hey, nobody here got water. But if we travel, will we be able to reach some water? قالوا نعم. So they said, yes, the water is not too far away. So if we move now, we would be able to reach the water before sunrise. قال فرفعوا دوابهم فجاءوا الماء قبل طلوع الشمس فاغتسل عمر رضي الله عنه. So therefore, after hearing this, Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu and the rest of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, they agreed and they got up and they traveled on. So they lifted فرفعوا دوابهم, they lifted up in other words, they got up all of the animals and traveled on. فجاءوا الماء, and they headed in the direction of the water. قبل طلوع الشمس, and they reached the water before sunrise. فاغتسل عمر رضي الله عنه, and Hazrat Umar رضي الله عنه was now able to make his ghusl. So yeah, you could have said, you could make your tayammum there but it is better that you make your ghusl. الحديث أخرجه في كنز العمال وسنده الأول صحيح وفي السند الثاني رجل مبهم ولعله عبد الرحمن بن حاطب كما يدل عليه السند الأول وله رؤية وعدوه من كبار الثقات التابعين كذا في التقريب على أن الانقطاع لا يضر عندنا. So he says that the first, okay, this narration is also found in Kanzul Ummal. Now, Kanzul Ummal is not a primary book of hadith. It's not like Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi. It's not like that. It's a compilation. So the narration is found in Kanzul Ummal, and the way Kanzul Ummal works, it would say narration is in Abu Dawud, narration is in Musnad al-Bazzar, so on and so forth. But in any case, so he says, وَسَنَدُهُ الْأَوَّلُ الصَّحِيحُ. The first chain of narration, which we just did here above, this one here, 308, وَسَنَدُهُ حَسَنَ. Hasan meaning it is authentic, it's suitable to be used as proof that Imam Darul rahimahullah reported. So he says, the first narration is authentic, but وَفِي السَّنَدِ الثَّانِي رَجُلٌ مُبْهَمٌ. But in this second chain of narration here, there's Man kana ma'a Umar ibn al-Khattab. Someone who was with Hazrat Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu narrated to us. Who is that someone? That someone is not named. He's mubham. He's nameless. It is a person, but who is he? His name isn't mentioned. But Maulana Zafar Ahmad Tanvi says, ولعله عبد الرحمن بن حاطب كما يدل عليه السند الأول. He say perhaps he feels that the person who is in this chain who isn't mentioned, the mubham person, the one who was with Hazrat Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, he thinks it is Abd al-Rahman ibn Hatib. And he says, like how you found in the first chain. So, because it's the same incident, it's likely that it was him. But he says, وَلَهُ رُؤْيَا. He has sight. He has sight? No. It means he had seen Hadrat Umar radiallahu anhu. He was present according to the previous narration. So, وَعَدُّوهُ. And the ulama have regarded him min kibari thiqati tabi'in. He's regarded as one of the top ranking, trustworthy, reliable tabi'in, because he was from that generation. كذا في التقريب. تقريب is known as تقريب التهذيب of Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah. There's actually the kitab known as تهذيب الكمال في أسماء الرجال. Then there's تهذيب التهذيب and تقريب التهذيب. So تهذيب الكمال في أسماء الرجال was written by Imam al-Mizzi rahimahullah. The kitab was then abridged and by Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, and he named this kitab تهذيب التهذيب. But despite abridging it, it was still very big. So he condensed it even further, and he named this kitab تقريب التهذيب. So تقريب التهذيب has like 1-2 lines on a narrator, whereas تهذيب التهذيب would maybe have 1-2 pages on him, and تهذيب الكمال would probably have about 10 pages on him. That's the distinction in the very big to the smallest. So in any case, he says, but in any case, the inqita', the fact that this mubham narrator is inside here who's unknown, somebody narrating from Hadrat Umar radiallahu anhu, this inqita' is not a problem according to us in the Hanafi madhab. So we say, even if we didn't know who it was, even if it wasn't Imam Abd al-Rahman ibn al-Hatib, then too it wouldn't have been an issue, because it is the person who narrates it. Okay, that's a topic for another time entirely, because amongst the science of hadith, as per the Hanafi madhab, Maliki madhab, and generally in Ashab al-Hadith, you have different viewpoints. So you have Imam, and they held this viewpoint that if a reliable person narrates somebody who is, for example, he narrates in a mursal form, and he does not narrate it in a mursal form except from people who are thiqa, then in that case, even though it's mursal, it's regarded as authentic. That is a viewpoint which is shared by the Shafi'i and Hanbali ulama. As Ahnaf, we say it's not a problem, because we say the mursal isn't an issue in the first place. But the Shafi'i madhab would say, yes, we're willing to consider one like this here when it is someone who's a high-ranking person, and it fits these criteria, then they're willing to look at it. We say, hey, it's not the issue one way or the other. But you get the picture. So the inqita', the fact that there's some cut in the chain over here, where this unknown person here narrates from Hadrat Umar radiallahu anhu, we say it's in a good chain, it has a supporting evidence. So one way or the other, whether you want to look at it through the supporting evidence or not, from a Hanafi perspective, we say we don't have an issue with it either way. And I think we'll stop on this point here, inshallah ta'ala, because the next one starts a new chapter. We've completed now with this the chapters regarding tayammum. So I don't want to jump and start a new topic which needs a whole long explanation on its own, and then have Zoom cutouts off before we end up being able to go anywhere. So we stop a little bit early for tonight, inshallah ta'ala. Until next time, we end here at the end of hadith number 309 on page 337 of volume 1 of I'la Sunan. But for now, we end and we say, وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.